The instant his sword swings forward, a sudden realization reaches him. Without hesitation, he draws upon the heavenly demon sword art and forces a blazing green aura around his blade. Power surges across the steel, expanding into a massive energy edge that illuminates the dark arena walls. Ares had always been praised as a gifted swordsman, but even he had never imagined releasing strength on this level. It is only an imitation of the true technique, a mere shadow of the original art, yet the pressure alone is overwhelming. He gathers everything into one strike. The giant blade of energy crashes downward with enough force to shake the Colosseum. Caesar, caught completely off guard, can only stare as the attack descends. Even though it carries only a fraction of the heavenly demon's real power, it is still more than enough to break through him entirely. The impact explodes across the battlefield. Caesar's defense shatters at once, fragments scattering through the air as he is overwhelmed in a single blow. Silence follows the destruction. Ares looks at what he has done and understands the gap clearly. This is not the true sword art, only a rough imitation, but instead of disappointment, he feels excitement. If this incomplete version carries such force, then his own growth has only just begun. Above the arena, a hooded announcer struggles to steady his voice as he reveals the result. Ares has defeated Caesar. With that victory, he rises to first place in the Valhalla rankings. The crowd erupts. Thunderous cheers fill the Colosseum, and through the blue light of the live broadcast, the entire kingdom witnesses the fall of one ruler and the rise of another. Far away, the king of Valhalla watches in silence. The blonde monarch clenches his jaw, unable to hide his anger. Disgust crosses his face as he turns away from the screen before the celebration can continue. His cloak snaps behind him as he leaves the throne room, each step echoing through the corridor. Back in the arena, Ares stands beneath the roar of the crowd, but he shows no interest in their praise. His face hardens. He raises his damaged sword high and calls for everyone's attention. His voice spreads through the Colosseum and across the live transmission. From this moment onward, he declares that he will step down as a Valhalla ranker. The cheers die instantly. Shock replaces celebration. The arena falls into confusion as thousands struggle to understand why the newly crowned #1 would abandon the highest position the same day he earned it. Ares gives them no time to recover. He reminds the empire that 10 years earlier, Caesar had stood at the summit without equal. Back then, no swordsman in Valhalla could challenge him. But the truth is simple. Since then, Caesar has not advanced at all. The man who once chased greater mastery was slowly consumed by comfort. Authority, political influence, and wealth replaced the hunger that once made him strong. Ares' words strike harder than any blade. He declares that the moment a warrior begins depending on borrowed power, pride starts to disappear. And when pride is lost, the sword follows the same path. Like steel abandoned to rust in the dirt, it eventually breaks apart and becomes worthless. Then his tone lowers. He says Caesar's growth ended the day he abandoned that pride. And because the strongest man in Valhalla stopped moving forward, the nation itself remained frozen beside him. Ares lifts his head again, calm but unshaken. He tells the people they are free to call him a traitor for abandoning the rank he just earned. It does not matter. Pressing a fist against his chest, he speaks the only identity he will ever accept. He was born a warrior, and he will die as one. With complete conviction, Ares admits that only now, standing beside Roman Dmitry, does he feel truly alive again. Having said everything he came to say, he turns his back on the arena. The title, the applause, and the highest seat in Valhalla mean nothing to him now. But before leaving, he gives the Empire one final command: never forget your roots. He reminds every citizen that the blood of warriors still runs through them, whether they acknowledge it or not. His enormous projected image still hovers above the capital, and his voice echoes through the streets. People stop where they stand, staring upward in silence as his message spreads across the city. Many cannot answer the question rising in their minds. When had Valhalla changed? For generations, the kingdom had taken pride in being a nation of fighters. Strength, courage, and discipline were once its foundation. Yet Ari's departure forces everyone to face what they have become. Even the ranking system they honor so highly was built from that same warrior spirit. But Caesar, the symbol of Valhalla itself, has fallen in humiliation before the eyes of the world. Whispers spread quickly through the crowd. Lucas of the House faction speaks what many already know. If Ares had not chosen loyalty to the enemy of the imperial family, he would have been praised as Valhalla's greatest pride. Instead, a warrior of unmatched talent has rejected the nation entirely. To Lucas, the meaning is obvious. The moment Ares returned, defeated Caesar, and walked away, he proved that his decision to follow Roman Dmitry was the correct one. That realization passes through the streets like a wave. Citizens quietly admit that ever since Ares chose Dmitry's side, Valhalla itself has stopped growing. Then, as uneasy murmurs fill the city, a firm set of footsteps strikes the stone road and silences the noise at once. Lucas steps forward and faces the restless crowd. His voice carries open contempt as he forces their hidden frustration into the open. He asks whether this is truly the Valhalla they are proud of now, a nation where useless men who can barely handle a sword walk with authority as if they own the empire. His words break the last barrier holding the people back. A man from the crowd shouts in response and places the blame directly on the throne. He condemns the foolish 14th prince, saying an ignorant ruler has no right to command the nation simply because stronger figures protect him. The mood in the streets changes at once. Shock and confusion are replaced by anger. Faces harden, jaws tighten, and years of suppressed resentment finally surface. What had once been whispered in private is now spoken aloud without fear. Then those emotions find direction. With Duke Vito already leading resistance against the corrupt royal family, and with Dmitry openly supporting that cause, the citizens begin to believe rebellion is no longer impossible. The fire spreads quickly. People decide they can no longer stand by while Valhalla decays from within. One man raises his voice above the rest and calls for action. If Duke Vito has made his stand, then it is time for the people to risk their own lives for Valhalla as well. Ares's defiance becomes the spark. His victory, his rejection of the ranking system, and his loyalty to Dmitry ignite the hearts of the people and turn growing resentment into open rebellion. Far from the streets, the atmosphere inside Valhalla's command center is far colder. Senior commanders stand over a large war map, studying the sudden collapse of stability across the empire. One strategist admits that he had long expected Roman Dmitry to become a major threat. Now, he says, the situation has passed the point of political conflict. This is war. He warns that whichever side loses its resolve first will be destroyed entirely. Count Gaiman anxiously asks if that means they will have to abandon the northern front. The strategist corrects him at once. They will not give it up completely, only sacrifice part of it. He explains that Dmitry's plan is clear. Ares has been used as a decisive weapon to occupy Valhalla's highest-ranked warriors. While the Empire's strongest fighters are distracted, Dmitry can pressure the north and prevent the army from fully suppressing the rebellion inside the kingdom. Even while recognizing the strategy, the commander remains arrogant. He argues that the Allied forces under Dmitry number only around 100,000 soldiers, far too few to topple the Valhalla Empire. Marquis Belfair dismisses the northern offensive as a diversion. In his view, Dmitry's true objective is to secretly strengthen the rebellion in Hernand. But Count Gaiman does not look convinced. His unease only deepens. Under growing pressure, he asks the question no one wants to hear. What if Roman Dmitry breaks through the northern defences completely and pushes deeper into Valhalla? A cold smile forms on Marquis Belfair's face. He calmly explains that even if the north collapses, Valhalla still has options. They only need to shift the political balance of the continent in their favour. Count Gaiman immediately understands. Because of the current truce, the Kronos Empire cannot openly join the war, but they can still move their forces toward the Cairo border and create enormous pressure through threat alone. If that happens, Dmitry will be forced to divide his attention. Relief replaces Gaiman's fear. He praises Belfair's thinking and calls it the perfect solution for Valhalla. But before their confidence can settle, the doors of the command center burst open. A messenger rushes inside with an urgent report from the northern front. His expression alone is enough to silence the room. He tells Belfair that the situation is too serious for words and that he needs to witness it himself. At the center of the chamber, the blue communication crystal activates. A live projection appears above it, but instead of an orderly battlefield report, the image shows a wounded northern commander barely able to stand. Covered in blood and shaking with fear, he forces out a final message. The North has already fallen to Roman. The moment he finishes speaking, his body collapses. Then a figure steps forward from the darkness behind him. Roman Dmitry enters the crystal's view. His presence alone changes the room. Calm, cold, and completely in control, he looks directly into Valhalla's command center through the projection. Roman says Marquis Belfair is a disappointment. He reminds them that Count Bragan's severed head was sent as both a warning and a message. Yet despite that, this weak resistance is all Valhalla had prepared. The faces of the strategists turn pale. Only now does the truth fully strike them. The northern line was not merely attacked. It has already been conquered. Roman remains composed as he delivers his next words with absolute certainty. He has no interest in prolonging the war. If they drag the Emperor of Valhalla before him and force him to kneel immediately, then he will end the conflict. The insult shatters Belfair's restraint. He explodes in rage and shouts back at the projection. Pointing at the crystal, he reveals what he believes is Valhalla's hidden advantage. Kronos' forces are already gathering at the Cairo border. Whatever Roman plans, he claims, will soon become meaningless. He swears to send troops at once, crush the Hernan rebels, and erase Dmitry from the continent entirely. Belfair continues shouting in fury. He declares that Roman will soon learn the fear of facing two great powers at once. When Kronos and Valhalla move together, he claims, no force on the continent will be able to resist them. Roman shows no reaction. He calmly steps over the broken armor and bodies scattered across the captured northern battlefield. His voice returns through the crystal as cold and steady as before. He says he has heard Valhalla's intentions clearly. Then a faint smile appears on his face, not from concern but amusement. To Roman, the threats coming from the command room mean nothing. Standing in the aftermath of total victory, he looks directly into the projection and mocks Belfair's confidence. He admits that even he had not expected Valhalla's northern defences to collapse so easily. Their carelessness, he says, has opened the road for him. Roman makes it clear that he will continue advancing without pause, cutting through every obstacle until the war is completely decided. He tells Belfair to keep that same arrogance until the very end. A heavy killing intent spreads around Roman's figure, so intense that even through the projection it sends fear into the command room. Belfair, moments earlier full of confidence, now stands drenched in sweat. Roman's expression sharpens into a grim smile. When everything is over, he promises, they will meet him face to face, and this time no distance or strategy will protect them.